Deep within the Chassahowitzka Wildlife Management Area in west-central Florida lies a seemingly ordinary pond that conceals a deadly secret. This is Eagle's Nest, a remote sinkhole that has claimed the lives of at least 10 divers since 1981. On October 16, 2016, it tragically added 2 more names to its grim tally. Eagle's Nest is no ordinary dive site. From the surface it appears unremarkable, but beneath the water's placid surface lies a treacherous underwater cave system that plunges to depths of 300 feet. Its unique geological features have earned it the moniker Mount Everest of cave diving, drawing experienced divers from around the world to test their skills in its challenging environment. The cave's entrance is a narrow tubular chimney that descends through limestone for about 70 feet. At this point, the floor and walls suddenly drop away, revealing an enormous cavern often described as the size of an aircraft hangar. Divers find themselves atop a debris mound at 130 feet, surrounded by inky blackness in all directions. Deeper within the cave system, divers encounter the aptly named Super Room, a vast chamber with walls displaying colorful layers of clay and sediment deposits. These geological formations offer a glimpse into Earth's ancient history, with each layer representing a different epoch. A sign at the entrance featuring an image of the Grim Reaper warns, "There's nothing in this cave worth dying for. Do not go beyond this point." It was into this perilous environment that Patrick Peacock and Chris Rittenmeyer ventured on that fateful October day. Both men were experienced cave divers who had explored Eagle's Nest several times before. They were part of a 3-day diving expedition, accompanied by their friend Justin Blakely. The trio's dive plan was meticulous. Peacock and Rittenmeyer were equipped with JJ closed-circuit rebreathers, CCRs, sophisticated diving apparatus that recycles exhaled breath, allowing for longer dives. They also carried 3 scooters for underwater propulsion, 2 primary units and 1 backup. Their equipment included open-circuit bailout gases of appropriate mixes and volumes, strategically placed along their planned route in case of CCR failure. On the day before the dive, they had carefully set up the cave, distributing decompression gases and bailout bottles at key points along their intended path. This preparation is standard practice for complex dives, ensuring that emergency supplies are available if needed. At approximately 2 p.m. on October 15th, Peacock and Rittenmeyer began their dive. Blakely, less experienced than his companions, remained closer to the surface as a support diver. The plan was for Blakely to confirm that his friends were safely on their decompression schedule at a predetermined time. As the afternoon wore on, Blakely grew increasingly concerned. When Peacock and Rittenmeyer failed to appear at the agreed-upon time, he checked their meeting spot every 30 minutes. By 6 p.m., with no sign of the divers, Blakely made the difficult decision to call for help. The ensuing search and recovery operation was complex and harrowing. The first search team, consisting of John Bernot and Charlie Robertson, entered the water at 11 p.m. They conducted a thorough search of the upstream passages, as well as portions of the downstream tunnel, but found no trace of the missing divers. It wasn't until the second search team, Ted McCoy and AJ Gonzalez, entered the water at 3:45 a.m. that the tragic outcome became clear. They discovered the bodies of Peacock and Rittenmeyer on the exit side of an area known as the Pit, at a depth of approximately 260 feet. The scene discovered by the recovery team offered clues to the sequence of events, but also raised perplexing questions. Diver 1, presumably Peacock or Rittenmeyer, was still wearing his CCR, but his bailout bottles were not in place. An empty 95 cubic foot cylinder was beside him, connected to his rig and with a long hose deployed. His breathing loop was open and out of his mouth, with the inhale side hose crushed. While he had 300 psi of onboard oxygen remaining, his onboard diluent bottle was empty. Even more puzzling was the state of the second diver. He was found wearing only a dry suit, mask, and fins. No other diving equipment. He was positively buoyant, with just a backup light clipped to his pocket. Further investigation revealed more details. 2 empty 95 cubic foot bailout bottles were found on the downstream side of the pit restriction. A full AL-80 tank was staged just on the exit side of the pit, along with a missing primary light head. Another full AL-80 stage was located downstream of the jump to the Lockwood Tunnel. Perhaps most baffling of all, 2 scooters, 1 diver's rebreather, and a 95 cubic foot bailout bottle were found at the end of the gold line outside the restriction leading into an area known as Revelation Space. The CCR loop on this unit was closed and appeared to be fully operational. Analysis of the diver's computers, which required special factory modifications to download due to the extreme duration of the dive, provided a timeline of events. It appears the divers reached their destination 43 minutes into the dive. They entered a narrow restriction at about 49 minutes and exited at 52 minutes. A second attempt to navigate the restriction began at 58 minutes and ended at 61 minutes, which is when 1 CCR was abandoned. One interpretation of this data suggests that one diver may have successfully navigated the restriction and waited for his partner. When his companion didn't appear, he might have attempted to exit the restriction himself, encountering trouble in the process. Both divers arrived in the vicinity of the pit restriction approximately 85 minutes into their dive, where they were ultimately found. The exact circumstances that led to this tragedy may never be fully known. However, the incident highlights the extreme risks associated with deep cave diving, even for highly trained and experienced individuals. Cave diving expert Chuck Walls explains one of the physiological dangers. It's called Martini's Law for us old-timers. For the newcomer, it's nitrogen narcosis. You have a lack of judgment and lose some of your inhibitions. Some people may even freeze up and do what we call whiteout. Despite the risks, the allure of cave diving remains powerful for many. Jill Heinerth, one of the world's best cave divers, describes the appeal. For me, swimming in these groundwater environments is like swimming through the veins of Mother Earth and the lifeblood of the planet. It's almost a spiritual reckoning. The tragedy at Eagle's Nest reignited debates about whether such dangerous dive sites should be closed to the public. Some locals called for a ban on access to prevent further loss of life. However, many in the cave diving community argue that with proper training and respect for one's limits, these environments can be explored safely. Heinerth draws parallels to other extreme sports. If you're driving down the highway, there are accidents all the time. But do you close the highway? If people have skiing accidents and get killed on mountains, do you close the mountains? It doesn't really make sense. Instead of closure, advocates emphasize the importance of proper training, adherence to safety protocols, and respect for the inherent risks of the sport. They argue that the exploration of such environments has scientific value that extends far beyond recreation. Cave diving contributes to our understanding of geology, hydrology, and even potential extraterrestrial life. Heinerth explains, "We know more about space than we do about inner space in these caves and springs. Astrobiologists are interested in algal mats and bacterial cultures, because they might closely resemble life we might find on other planets. The caves also offer insights into climate history and water resources. As Heinerth notes, caves are our groundwater, and that's the lifeblood that's feeding just about everything topside, from agriculture to humanity to industry. The tragedy at Eagle's Nest serves as a sobering reminder of the fine line between a successful mission and a fatal accident in extreme environments. As one cave diving expert reflected, sometimes bad things happen to good people for no apparent reason. These men did everything right. They had all of the correct bailout/safety gases. They had top quality equipment and the training to go with it. So what went wrong? The incident underscores the importance of constant vigilance, respect for personal limits, and the ability to recognize when conditions are not ideal. As the expert advises, learn to recognize those days when you're off your game. Sometimes that little voice inside our heads says, "Don't do that." Learn to listen to it. If you found this story fascinating, don't forget to hit that like button. And for more gripping tales of adventure and exploration, subscribe to our channel. Stay curious, stay safe, and we'll see you in the next video.